Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you so much for supporting the Blue Card. And I'm truly sorry I can't be there in person. I can't tell you how humble I am and how grateful I am to receive this honor. To my fellow honorees, thank you for your dedication and your passion to these issues. And Stanley Bergman and Dr. Marion Bergman, your work at the Henry Schein is exemplary and embodies tonight's message of community partnership. David Miliband, I'm sure that your devotion to advancing humanitarian relief and refugee assistance is inspired in part by your own family's story of survival. So thank you for your continued leadership. And to everyone in the New York Foundation of for Elder Care and the alumni of B'nai Mitzvah Project, your service has been an inspiration and continues to be. You know, I always judge the value of an award based on the esteem in which I hold the organization giving the award. And there are few organizations engaged in work as meaningful or as urgent as the Blue Card. So thank you, thank you, thank you. My kitchen table, my dining room table, is a place we gathered to have conversation and instantly eat, and my dad would rail against what happened in the Holocaust. And the fact of the matter is that he gave me meaning even before I met Ellie about the expression, never again. But from Ellie, I learned that we can never, ever, ever forget or let others forget. Ellie implanted in my soul an unwavering insistence that we must educate every successive generation to exactly what happened. You know, we have to teach them never to turn away from the oppression we find in the world, that their silence when they see it is complicity. It's a lesson that's as vital today as it has ever been. We're seeing violent hate once again on the march at home and abroad. Some of our leaders may not see anti-Semitism, bigotry, and xenophobia as a rising threat, white nationalism, but I know better, you know better, we know better. We see evidence of that truth from every corner of the world. Minimizing the reality ignores the truth, and it only invites forces of hatred to crawl out from under the rocks and engage in their acts of violence. Racists taking to the streets in Charlottesville, spewing the same anti-Semitic bile we heard in the 1930s in Germany. Peaceful worshipers slaughtered in a synagogue in Pittsburgh that I know, in part because of their solidarity with refugees. Muslims gathering together for Friday prayers in New Zealand, cut down by a gunman because of their faith. We can't stand by silently. Again, silence is complicity. That's why I took each of my children, my three children and my grandchildren, to Dachau. As each of them turned 15 years of age, I put them on a plane and went to Dachau because I continued that tradition all the way through to my most recent, only one grandchild left, actually 3 left to go see it. Because I thought it was important for them to understand at a gut level the inhumanity that we are capable of inflicting on one another. But most importantly, to see, feel, and smell the horrors so that so many endured. But what I want them to see when you walk through that gate is those beautiful homes right along the gate. They existed at the time of the Holocaust. People pretending they didn't know what was happening. They did. I wanted them to grapple with the knowledge of how easy it is for people to stand by and do nothing, knowing that horrible sins are being committed, sins that violate our very humanity. And again, silence is complicity. I want them to understand that silence in the face of humanity is something that can never be allowed. We have to speak out. And I want them to recognize, and I believe they do, the indomitable resilience of the human spirit when we're tested. We overcome. We can overcome virtually anything. That's what Ellie did. That's what so many of your friends and your family did. That's what every survivor of the Holocaust did and is still doing. And that's why the work of the Blue Card remains absolutely vital. We have a shared obligation to guarantee the well-being and dignity of all those who lived through hell and endured it unbroken. And there's still too many who are suffering today, living in poverty, coping with poor health, disconnected from the support they need. There are thousands of survivors who need our help, many of them here in New York. We owe it to them. We have a moral obligation. In 2012, as Vice President of the United States, I launched an initiative to help build on our collective efforts to catalyze greater support for the survivor community. We appointed a special envoy to raise awareness about these issues and created a $12 million grant to support organizations providing services of the Holocaust. And most critically, we called for innovative public-private partnerships to fill unmet needs. And by the way, that's where Henry Schein stepped in to provide free dental care for survivors across the United States. I'm exceptionally proud of the work we did, that Stu Eisenstadt did on this issue during the administration and subsequently. You know, we all know we can't let up. There are still survivors who need our help, and we can make their lives better in concrete ways. So once again, Ellie said it best. He said, in spite of despair, hope must exist. In spite of suffering, humanity must prevail. In spite of all the differences of the world, the worst peril is indifference. So thank you all again for not being indifferent. The Blue Card is offering hope over despair, seeing humanity prevail over suffering, and overturning indifference. And thank you everyone tonight for supporting this important mission to make sure Holocaust survivors in the United States, each and every one of them, has an opportunity to live out their life in peace, dignity, and security.